Welcome, renters. I'm Harriet. I work for an upstate New York landlord, and I'm here to help you make the most of your lease. Today's topic is the ERAP application from the beginning to almost the end, all in one short swoop. But first, disclosures, disclaimers. I think I've even figured out how to make them look pretty. Disclosures and disclaimers. There we go. So, the New York State Emergency Rental Assistance Program, also known as ERAP, has online or phone-in applications available. The phone-in application might take the rest of your life, so grab somebody that knows how to do the computer to help you out, and we'll take you through all the steps quickly. Also, links in the description to our other more detailed tab-by-tab videos. When I say detailed, you have been warned. So first, go to the link in the description and it'll take you right to this page, Start New Application. Guess what? You click on New Application. The first page will load in and it will ask you for some basic information. You're going to start with one person in your household. Put in your name here. And then it'll ask you for that person's date of birth. Now, I'm doing this as a fictional make-up person, so we'll just put in something that makes sense. We'll select the gender. We'll put in the address, which is required, as well as the city and the state. Anything with a little red asterisk or star is a required item. Things without those little red dots are not generally required, but every once in a while there will be something that they need one or the other for, right? So we'll fill all this stuff in. Now, obviously, you're likely to have a social security number, so you can fill it in here. But we're just a fictional, non-existent thing, so we don't have a social security number. Fill in the race and ethnicity. Fill in whether you're currently renting, what kind of a lease you've got, what your employment status is, whether or not you're a full-time student, whether or not you have filed taxes for the past year. You don't have to have, but if you have, they will ask you what form size and what the income was from which line of which form, and whether you want an emergency proxy. Once you hit save, it will take you to the next tab. Now look, I didn't quite click that, so it's going to tell me that I need to answer that before we go forward. The way you know this, you're still on the same page. So it'll give you, as you scroll through, any error messages will get highlighted in red here, if you can see that. So no. We'll click on save and we will go to the next tab, which is COVID hardship. So have you or any household member received unemployment benefits? Yes or no? Were you impacted by COVID, and if so, how? Notice it can either be income or increased costs, and under increased cost, higher essential items costs or purchase of PPE like a mask does qualify you as a hardship under COVID. And then these questions will determine whether you get any accelerated processing. In this case, we can check one of them. Hit save, takes you to the next tab if everything is acceptable to the system. Here we go, additional household members. Additional household members, you add them in here. And we've got a whole video with details on how to do that. You will want their social security numbers and birth dates when you do this. You don't need to have their IDs in front of you. You can upload those later. Go ahead and hit save for that one. It'll take us to the next tab, which is income, where we'll fill in any income that any household members have. There's also some details here of stuff that you may be getting money for, but that doesn't count as income. There's a bunch of yes and no's up front also for any other sources or assistance that you can just answer yes or no to. Whether you receive SNAP benefits or HEAP, whether you are getting Medicaid, meeting the definition of zero income has some additional things in here. So we're going to say that our fictional person does have some income. That will make it easier to work the form and be more like what all of you are doing. So you choose the type of income and the frequency and then the amount. And the amount is, if you've said it's every other week, when you get your paycheck, how much would that be? and then hit save, and it'll take us to the next tab. The next tab is lease information. For the address you've already entered and the lease term you've already entered, when did that lease start or when did you begin paying rent? So we'll go ahead and choose that from the calendar. And then the monthly rental amount. What does your lease say you're paying in rent? And then the type of dwelling that you're in. How many bedrooms are in your unit? Whether there's any kind of support or subsidy for your unit, and then whether you're renting it from the owner or from a property manager. And in either case, they will ask for information about the owner. And this is one of those things where you need either an email for the owner or a phone number. Neither one of them is starred, but if you tried doing neither one of them, you will get an error message. Let me show you. You can see on the lease tab, and as you scroll down, it says email or phone is required. So we'll go ahead and put in a phone number. And that will help take us to the next page, which is rent arrears. Here you're going to want your rent statement in front of you, or you can ask your landlord what your rent arrears are. But for each month starting in March of last year, it's going to ask you what your regular monthly rent was, how much is past due, and whether there are any late or other fees that are due and owing. In this case, our fictional character moved in June of last year, so the rent will start there. And there may be months that you don't have anything past due. You can just put in zeros for those, which we're going to do now. But it'll ask you for each month all the way through June of 2021. In this case, our fictional character started falling behind in rent in May of 2021. And then it also asks if you or any member of your household need assistance paying for future rents. So in this case, our fictional character is falling behind and does need some help. You can then choose whether it's 1, 2, or 3 months. In this case, they've got a new job lined up that's going to start in, filled enough things in, it'll take us to the next tab. And here we are in utilities. So if you or any member of your household needs assistance with utilities, you can put yes, and it'll ask you lots of detailed questions about that. You can fill in all the details. In this case, our fictional character does not need help with utilities. We'll hit save. Takes us to the next tab, which is prior and current rental assistance. If the ERAP program will not duplicate monies you're already receiving from another program, so it's asking us to make sure that you're not getting double assistance. Single assistance good, double assistance not allowed. So don't live in subsidized housing, have not received outside assistance from any of these other sources. And if you have, you just fill it in and they'll make sure that they get you the most assistance under ERAP that's allowable. So now we're on the next tab. This is now tab number 9, communications preferences. If ERAP needs to let you know anything, do you want an email from them? Do you want a text message? Or do you want paper notices in the mail? You can do any of those. We're going to choose email. And then you can tell it your preferred language for written communications and whether you need any alternative formats like Braille and what have you. So we'll go ahead and hit save for that. And that will take us to the final tab for this portion, which is the applicant certification. And this basically says everything we've put in is true, accurate to the best of our understanding, and what have you. I'm not going to certify this because I am imaginary, or at least this applicant is. But in real life, you would go ahead and click yes and then type in your name as your signature. And when you hit save, it'll take you to the next screen, which I'm going to upload a photo of from one of the folks that we did help put in a real application with, so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so you did your certification. I didn't because this was a fictional example, but you'll get a screen that looks a little bit like this. I'll insert that picture so it's legible. but it says your application is not yet complete. Well, your data entry is, but you still need to upload documents. So let's go through that now. So congrats, you've finished all of the data entry part of your application, but to complete the package, you will need to upload some additional documents. And this is where you do it. The link is in the description below. You'll see upload documents for tenants. You will need to put in your application number and your date of birth. So we didn't actually write that down correctly, and then your document type can be anything that they've already got specified, like a birth certificate, a lease, your photo ID, or it could also be other. There may be something that isn't actually specifically listed, and there is a quick link here to all of the documentation, which is helpful. And then you will select your file, whether you're in your phone or on a laptop or a computer. It'll get you into your usual file interface. You'll select the file. After you've selected the file name will appear right here. You'll click that you're not a robot. You will upload documents, and when you do that, you will see a confirm green banner up here with a confirmation code. You're going to want to keep track of that because as far as I can tell, there isn't a way to figure out what you've uploaded already unless you're keeping track of it yourself. So that's it. Once you've finished your online application data entry and all of the document uploads, your side of the application will be complete and you can reach out to your landlord to make sure they're filling out their side. There are 4 things that you have to upload as a tenant and a 5th that is optional. The first thing that is required is an ID for everybody in your household. The second thing that's required is proof of your address, which could be a lease or a piece of mail. The third thing that's required is proof of income, if you do have any income. The 4th thing that you need to provide is some proof of your monthly rental amount, which could be your lease or could be receipts. And the 5th thing that is optional is if you are asking for help with your utilities, you need to provide bills or billing summary of those utility amounts. And that's it. Congrats, your ERAP application is now complete. And until next time, may your home be your best nest. Take care. And sometimes I remember to look at the camera too. And we'll edit some of this out later so you don't have to watch me tabbing through everything. There are 4 things